I've got rum, I've got red wine, honey, and of course the Mamajuana mix, which promises to make this delicious and turn it into an aphrodisiac, no less. So today we're making this up and we're going to see what this Dominican Republic drink is all about, but we're also going to see if we can steal some of the stuff out of here and see what it'll do to some whiskey. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse and this is Still It. Alright team, so long story short, a Patreon by the name of Guybrush Threepwood, not his real name, funnily enough, sent this stuff in because he's been messing around with it and he said it's quite awesome. I've had a quick Google, I've had a quick look around. To be perfectly honest with you, I'd never heard of it before, which is awesome. I get to try something new and it looks really, really intriguing. So what we're going to do is make it as it's intended to be made with the rum, the red wine and the honey, but we're also going to take some of just the wood out of this and mess around with it and see what it'll do to a whiskey. So what the hell is this stuff? Well, it's a mix of different spices and herbs and wood that you infuse with the spirit, and apparently it is insanely popular over in the Dominican Republic. I wouldn't know, I've never been there, but I'm led to believe that this stuff is insanely popular there. The sort of thing that you always have around the house. You offer it to guests when they show up, friends when they show up. If you have something awesome you want to celebrate, it's Mamajuana time. If things aren't going quite so great and you need a little pick-me-up, it's Mamajuana time. If you're sick, guess what's going to cure everything that's wrong with you? And if you're having the pee-pee troubles, Anyway, enough chit-chat, let's get stuck right in and make the traditional version first. What you're going to need is you're going to need some rum, some red wine, and some honey. I have some great wild local honey, so you guys probably aren't going to be able to get that, but substitute it with what you have. I'm using a decent but not great New Zealand Merlot. You definitely want red wine. Yeah, I'm using Karuba. Sorry guys, don't judge me. It was cheap and it was easy to get. Obviously if you have a soft spot for a specific rum, go with that, but you're going to want to aim towards the darker side of the rums. Now this stuff, the thing that makes it all possible, I had never heard of this, I'd never seen it before, but it turns out it's pretty easy to get on places like Amazon, so I'll drop a link down below for you. Alright, let's get this made up, shall we? Traditionally, this is normally made directly in the bottle, but seeing as it's a whole lot easier to get things in and out of a jar like this, I'm going to be using one. Looking through the Mamajuana mix, you'll notice a few spices that are quite familiar. If you know that you dislike something specific like star anise or cinnamon, feel free to take it out. Now it's time to fill the container up to the very top with your mix. You don't need to measure this, just get that container full, whatever you're using. Next comes the rum. I'm using Karuba. Whatever you're using, fill your jar or your bottle to the halfway mark. Next up, fill the jar to 90% full with the red wine, leaving some space for the honey. So just to recap, that is 50% rum, 40% red wine, and 10% honey. And we're just going to cap it off, give it a little gentle shake just to get that honey moving through everything, and we're going to let it sit. Some recipes online that you will find will suggest making this, letting it sit for 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, and then discarding the liquid, making it again, and then keeping it from then on in. The idea is that this can get a little bit tannic, a little bit sort of astringent, a little bit just too much straight off the bat with the spices that are in this wood. And dude, look at the amount of wood that we've crammed in there compared to what we'd normally do with whiskey or whatever. There's a lot of stuff in there, I can understand that. If you want to go down that road, it's fine. Honestly, you could probably just sacrifice a little bit of vodka. Guybrush, the Patreon, recommended just putting in, you know, something a 10 to 15% ABV sacrificial something in there to throw away. Although he doesn't mind it like this. So I'm going to follow in his footsteps and follow his, his way of doing it. And I'm going to taste this every few days. So once again, you can let it sit for whatever amount of time works for your flavor profile. Just be aware, team, if you are in a hot area, if the ambient temperature is 35 degrees Celsius for you, it might get done in half the time if you're letting it sit on the windowsill and it's 12 degrees average where that's sitting. So I'm going to give it a little taste every few days and I'll get back to you to let you know exactly how long it sits and to let you know what the damn stuff tastes like. I gotta say, It smells freaking heavenly. So I'm really looking forward to that. All right, let's play with some whiskey. So once again, I've taken Guybrush Threepwood's, how awesome is that name, advice, and I've gone through and picked out just some of the wood to mess with whiskey. So this is just the pieces of wood, just the pieces of bark. I've taken out any of the cloves, the leaves, cinnamon, star anise, whatever other sort of little spices and things that I could find in there, and I've just left it like this. Now, smelling this is, honestly, I don't quite know how to describe it. It's really, really freaking good. But it reminds me of an old-fashioned cocktail. So I think that's what we're going to aim for. I'm going to pick a spirit that I would like to drink in an old-fashioned, and we're going to let this age on here for probably, honestly guys, it's not going to take long. I'm thinking like 3 to 5 days is all it's going to take to give it a subtle little something going on. And then we can side by side the base spirit next to the one that's been influenced by the Mamajuana wood only, without the spices. So let's get something in there. What have I got? So this is the closest thing that I currently have to, you know, more like a bourbon, I guess, and it is made from polenta, so it is all corn. It's 100% corn. Let's roll with this, shall we? But the flavor profile of this stuff is would lend itself quite well to a old-fashioned, in my opinion. The beauty of this sort of thing is that you can mix this up, and you know, you can say, no, I don't like old-fashions with bourbons that taste like that. I like, I don't know, smoky old-fashions. Try it with a freaking Isla whiskey. It's up to you. What I'm interested in is the difference between this and this after a few days. Let's let these sit. We'll check back in soon. It's been 5 days now, and I am a little bit disappointed in myself for putting all of that, oh my word, excuse me, all of that cinnamon in, simply because it's starting to get to the point now where the cinnamon's sort of spiking in flavor, but it hasn't got astringent or bitter or anything like that. So, you know what, I should have had a hunch it was going to do that. Whatever. Could have got a few more days out of it. If I didn't put the cinnamon in, it's buried way down the bottom, so I'm not going to be able to get it out. In any case, all we need to do at this stage, and guys, please, 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 just because I'm saying I did this in 5 days doesn't mean you should do it in 5 days. Taste it, you know, regularly, see what sort of flavor trajectory it's taking. And, you know, after a few days, you're going to get a pretty good idea of what it's going to taste like the day after and the day after that. Pick a spot where you think the flavors are best for you, for your, you know, preferences, whatever you would like to drink. Anyway, let me drain this out. I am going to be a little bit cautious when I get down the bottom right now because I want to taste it right now. And it is very thick at the bottom. There's a lot of sediment going on down there. So maybe let's just do that so we can get a clean taste, and I'll, you know, filter this out again later on. Cheers! Holy shit, that smells good. It smells so good. It's like mulled wine, but with rum, obviously. Yum. Holy crap. That is so good. That is really, really good. Okay, thank you, Guybrush, for sending this in. I didn't know it existed, and I'm very, very happy I do now. Actually, after tasting it again today, I can say that there is just a touch of astringency coming in. It feels like the astringency from the red wine, but bumped up a little bit more. So it probably is the best time for me to be pulling this out now. How do you describe what this tastes like? Holy crap. There are so many things going on that I don't really know how to describe it, to be perfectly honest with you. It feels festive, similar to Christmassy sort of things to me, but I think that's just the probably the cinnamon and the cloves, and the general sort of fullness of spice relates to a lot of Christmas memories for me. The rum and the wine, that is so weird. I wouldn't have picked that as such a great combination. It takes the molasses from the rum, and it takes the more berry sort of flavors from the wine, and pumps them together into a really big, bold, pruny sort of flavor. And it actually reminds me a lot of something like port in a way. You know what this is? This is like mulled wine, except instead of making it with wine, you made it with port. This is what it's like. Wow. I am totally hooked on this. That amount of honey that I put in, I was a little bit worried that it was going to make it too sweet. And it is a sweet beverage. It's not, you know, it isn't drinking like a cask strength whiskey, let's be honest. But it's not cloyingly sweet. It is somewhat drinkable. Give it a go. I just don't know how else to describe this to you. There are so many different brands and mixes available, relatively easy on Amazon and so on and so forth. So give it a go, give it a nudge. Let me know what you've tried or what you end up trying, because this is pretty cool. I can definitely see myself putting this into a semi-regular rotation. Like maybe it turns into a seasonal thing for me. Let's move on to the whiskey version, and I'm just going to pour this straight on in here. And it would make sense, I think, to taste it next to the standard version of this, right? Hold on. This is such a bad idea. Oh no. Only a few little drops spilt. Yes, what I remember. It has that slightly cherryish and sappy wood note of a lot of classic bourbons, but it has a little bit more pepper and spice than is typical of something like a really traditional, you know, maybe like a Buffalo Trace or something like that. Still pretty high proof. I'm guessing this is, yeah, still probably about 49% or something like that. Pretty much exactly what you would expect on the tongue. Let's give this one a nudge. There's much less of that kind of sappy cherry thing going on, which is interesting, and it's kind of mellowed into more of a candy sort of quality. It's added some interesting spiciness to it, but not spice, not pepper, not chili, not anything like really harsh and attacking like that. It's more subtle, it's more baking spice. It isn't the standard cinnamon or allspice kind of flavors. Wow. It tastes more like a cocktail. Something like an old fashioned, I guess. All right, team, I feel like I'm letting you down a little bit here. I had to turn the camera off and just sit here and enjoy it for 10, 15 minutes. There's something in it that kind of reminds me of, it's not mint, it's more like gum, actually. Like, yeah, like gum leaves. There's a darker flavor, something that is similar to chocolate or coffee, or molasses, but it isn't. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is. I just know that I can not taste it in this version. You know what? It's more like French oak, much more like French oak. If any of you guys have tried this, please, please, please jump in the comments and tell me what you think it's like. Sorry guys, that's the best I can do on this one. Bizarre, very, very different, but also close enough to be familiar and not taste like whiskey. Anyway guys, I need to say a huge thank you to the Patreons. It was one of you guys that sent this stuff in. I didn't know it existed until you told me. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do for me, guys. I cannot say thank you enough. If you at home are enjoying these videos and you're finding value in them and you want to help contribute directly to the channel, you can go to chasetheCraft.com/support to find out all the different ways you can do so. One of them is Patreon, of course, but you can also pick some stuff up in the shop or use the affiliate links to go shopping on other platforms. As soon as I get off camera, I'm filling this bad boy up again. I want a decent sized bottle of this stuff now. Anyway guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. That helps me out a whole lot. If you really like the video and you're not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button down below. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Keep on chasing the craft. See ya. If you want to know if it works as an aphrodisiac, you'll have to sign up to my OnlyFans account.